Good afternoon, friends. Welcome back for the fourth and last session for the 2 days GST conference. To begin with, I would request CA Nitish Kothari, branch chairman, to please offer a floral bouquet to our next speaker as a token of welcome. CA Gaurav Saveji will be taking the first session. I would request CA Abhishek Tiwari to please give a formal introduction about our first speaker, CA Gaurav Saveji.
CA Gaurav Save, founder partner of Gaurav V. Save and Associates, in charge of Mumbai head office, having office at Mumbai, Pune, Lonavala, Nasik, and is fellow members of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. CA Gaurav Save is being nominated as the GST Study Group member of Indirect Tax Committee of ICI for Mumbai chapter to deliberate on the issue of the trade and industries during the transition GST and coordinate for the activities of ICI for smooth transition to GST. He was also the member of the Indirect Tax Study Group of Western India Regional Council of ICI for council year 2015-16 and 17. He was also selected as faculty for GST and completed the training of 2 days conducted by ITDC of ICI in August 2016 and has already spoken on various topics of service tax, SANVAT credits and GST at various fora of ICI and has delivered over 12 lectures at Pune, Mumbai, Bhiwandi, Vasai so far and many more scheduled in the coming days. He is also one of the compiler and contributory to Bombay Chartered Accountants Society referencer for 1718 on the topic of SANVAT, service tax, CST, Maharashtra profession tax and GST. C. Gaurav Save, on the behalf of the firm, consulted in the matters of GST, impact analysis, GST training, GST preparation, appeal drafting for service tax matters and also for the compliances for SANVAT, which key specialization in the hospitality industry and trade association, provides consultancy and retainership assignment in indirect tax like service tax, Maharashtra VAT, also attend scrutiny assessment and audits in service tax, and also assessment under the Maharashtra VAT and representation matter of service tax for the firm clients. Okay. Please, sir, in charge your take.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vasai branch, and thank you all the dignitaries on the dais for welcoming me here. Friends, we will have a very short introduction on the topic of returns, payments, and audits under GST because the detailed deliberation will be by Ashit Bhai. So I'll not take much of your time and provide the highlights of these three topics. The agenda, what I would cover would be the introduction on returns, payments, audit, and GST preparations only with respect to returns and payments, and that would be also in the highlight mode because this is the introductory topic. The introduction to returns. GST itself is a self-assessed destination-based taxation which we have already must have seen throughout the 2 day session. The submission and processing of returns is an important tool for the assessee with respect to providing of seamless flow of tax credits and avoiding cascading effects. Now here I am not going into the practicalities of your input tax credit and its rules, but basically you must have known by now that the system itself will be a mechanism for giving you the credit or no. There are various hindrances. If you don't follow the system properly, you might lose out your credits. So GST returns are an important chain or a link here for providing you the seamless flow of credits. For finalization of your tax liabilities within the stipulated period of time, as the Honorable Minister of State said that we have only one return and the other returns which will be coming out of that would be the auto-populated returns. So finalization of your tax liabilities and crystallizing the same would be done by the system. So initially filing of your data correctly at the very first stage would be most important link here as far as returns is concerned. and also for the compliance verification programs and compliance ratings of taxable person. The taxable person would get some kind of rating here, GST star ratings, what we say. It would be a highlighter from the side of the government to give you a poser whether the taxable person is a creditable or a credit worthy taxable person, or they are some kinds of your bogus purchase dealers what we had in Maharashtra, or some bad dealers whom the government is giving you an indication, beware when you are going to do business with them. So returns would be a very important link for all these three aspects. The types of returns I have listed down here, their purpose is listed and due date is also listed. I will not go in detail because we will have a detailed session, but just to highlight them, that the first return is GSTR 1 would be for the outward supplies, GSTR 2 would be the return for inward supplies, the third one would be the crystallization of your outward and inward supplies that we call as a common return, which would go. The GSTR 4 would be the return which needs to be filed quarterly and basically only for those dealers who would be opting for the composition scheme. GSTR 5 would be for the non-resident foreign taxable person. All those who are taking the ISD registrations would require to file GSTR 6. GSTR 7 would be all those assessees or taxable persons who require to deduct tax at source. Then there is a communication of acceptance, discrepancies or duplications in ITC. This will be this MIS 1 and 2. You will receive this on your email from the department. So whatever mistakes are happening in mismatch, duplications, you will get in this. GSTR 8 would be for the e-commerce operators or those dealing with the supplies routed through e-commerce operators. GSTR 9, the one, the 37th return which sir was referring to, basically the annual return with its reconciliation in part 9A, 9B if you are under audit. So the draft rules currently prescribe the limit to 1 CR. So when the actual rules are getting notified, if that is the turnover which is prescribed, if you are going above the turnover, the taxable person, they will have to upload a audited return as well. The final return means when somebody is closing the business. So once the number is closed, the GST number is surrendered. After that, the last return also needs to be filed for the last period. That would be in GSTR 10. And GSTR 11 is basically for the inward supplies to be furnished by the persons having unique identification numbers. So basically all those who want to claim refund like UN bodies or CSD canteens and all, so they need to file in GSTR 11. Simple. Basic highlights, every registered person has to file the returns even if there is no business activity. Check it with your current comparison with CST. We have a notification in Maharashtra. If you don't have a business activity, you need not file the return. GST, no such case. Monthly returns are compulsory and quarterly only for dealers who are opting for composition scheme. This is a very important limb here which you need to take care of, that you cannot file GSTR 1 for outward supplies between 11th to 15th of the month, because that is the period when the opposite dealer or the recipient would be matching his GSTR 2 with the GSTR 1 filed by others. So there should not be a real-time basis change in there in the system, and that is why for these 5 days your limit, your login would be closed only for the extent of uploading GSTR 1. If returns of any previous period are pending, then the registered taxable shall not be allowed to file the returns. That is, if you are not filing it for the month of April, then you cannot file for the month of May and then go back and file for April. All the returns should be filed serially in order. So make sure there are late fees. So if you are missing out on one, make sure you are doing it as fast as possible, because the meter for the another or the next period may start immediately. Minimum 37 returns are there except composition taxpayer per annum. So 37 returns, yes, you have to file only one return, but other two are also a kind of reconciliations, which is also an equally important aspect of the returns. We just cannot take or assume the data which is being filed by the other party and just accept the click button. So that your diligence in reconciliating the other two returns are also equally important. GST practitioners can be authorized to file the return. So this provision they have brought in with respect to returns. Compliance ratings, it has been brought under the law as a section there. The department will have the powers to rate the GST taxable person according to the basis of their timely payments, timely filing of returns and other aspects also. revision of returns is not allowed. So this is one of the biggest change which we are there in our current system to the GST era, that we are prone to revise the returns when we find any of the discrepancies during our audit period at the fag end of the year most of the times. But now here we don't have this revision of returns, and because of which the option given to you here would be the rectification of the errors. But rectification you can do only at a later stage, and then the charge of interest and penalty would be there. So make sure you are aware of these points also. Common e-return for CGST, SGST, IGST with different fields, so no tension here. Notice to defaulters would be there to furnish the returns within 15 days, so you will get this as fast as possible in your mailbox. Annual return is there, so reconciliation statement you need to file for crossing the prescribed turnover of 1 CR. Meticulous adherence to the returns provision shall be a key area for GST compliance rating. So this is all in our hands, the chartered accountants and the chartered accountant fraternity. A brief activity flow as fast as I can show here. The taxable person would have to log into his GSTIN. He'll have to upload the outward supply details latest by 10th of the succeeding month. File GSTR1 by 10th of the succeeding month. Then he cannot furnish return between 11th to 15th, GSTR1. Inward supplies details in GSTR2A would be auto-populated on the basis of GSTR1 of the counterparty. The taxable person then add or modify and file the GSTR2, that is the return for its inward supply, the purchase side or the expense side of the P&L, latest by 15th of the succeeding month. What details are modified or added or deleted by the recipient, the supplier will get to know again those details in his GSTR portal through GSTR 1A. So that needs to be again reconciled by 17th of the next month. Pay the balance tax. The liability, the first slide said the liability would get freeze then and there itself. So you pay the balance tax by 20th of the succeeding month. Discover any omission or error in filing of the return after the filing. Then you can pay interest and disclose the period in which the error is discovered. But only thing, there is a one hindrance here, that you cannot rectify that error after September of the next end of the financial year, or if you have filed your annual return prior to that September, then you cannot rectify after that. So a basic flowchart which you can always keep handy for yourself. I'll move on to the next topic, introduction to payments. Every deposit of payment of interest, tax, penalty or any other amount shall be made by either internet banking or a debit card. You can do it by credit card also, but of the taxable person, the credit card should be registered with the DSIN, so you will have the provisions there. NEFT you can do the payment, RTGS can be used, and OTC can be used only up to 10,000 rupees. So not much of the amount over the counter would be allowed for payment of taxes. Amount paid under the above method shall be credited to the electronic cash ledger. So you will have a constant electronic cash ledger. You need not wait till the 20th of the next month to go on paying your amounts. You can just keep an ad hoc amount which you require. You can assess your self-assessed liability to avoid your last minute problems of internet banking and all those things. So you can keep some amount there. Whatever is required, it can be utilized. The balance can be carried forward or can be claimed as refund also. Bank charges like commission, payment gateway charges, etc. are to be borne by taxpayer. Government is not going to give you any credit for that. So if you do any NEFT, the bank levies you charges that are to be borne by you. So if your tax rupees is 100, make sure that full amount is being paid and charges are deducted separately. Input tax credit as self-assessed shall be credited in the electronic credit ledger. Now, basically, at the very first stage, the GST allows you on the self-assessment taxation system. So whatever credit, input credit, which you are disclosing in your GSTR2 would be accepted by the system for the first stage or for the first month. Any errors, duplications would be there. The separate mechanism is there. You will get, both of the parties will get the notices, you reconcile, else it will get added into liabilities in the next month. But for this first particular month where you are filing the return, whatever input tax rate details you are disclosing in your returns would be accepted on the self-assessed basis, and it will be as per the balance in your electronic credit ledger. A simple flow of how you can use the balances. The balance of IGST can be used first against IGST. If anything is left out of that, then next it can be used against the CGST. And further, if any balance is left out, then you can use either with the SGST or UTGST as per your jurisdiction. Similarly, for balance of CGST, the first it would be used against CGST. Then, if anything is left, it can be used against IGST, but CGST balance cannot be used against your SGST balance. Last one is SGST or UTGST, as the case may be, first against the respective state jurisdiction tax and then against the IGST. These are the various payment forms listed here, so which would be helpful, like we are used to the challan numbers. So certain challan numbers and even the orders what the officials is going to be passing as regards your credit and all, they have been listed in specified formats. So you will get all these things in the specified formats only. I'll move to the next topic, that is the introduction to the audits. Audit, the first limb or the first professional opportunity which we are having here is audit either by a chartered accountant or a cost accountant if your turnover crosses the proposed prescribed limit of 1 CR. So this is one fixed amount where you can have, and majorly we should always be hopeful that all our clients, they cross the turnover. So this is one of the opportunities which are having here. The next is audit by tax authorities at regular interval prescribed under section 65. So tax authorities or the department, what we are having today in service tax or in the VAT, those audits conducted by the tax department, this is one of the another area of audit. And the third audit, again where the chartered accountants and cost accountants have a role or an opportunity, that is, this is again a departmental audit, but it would be termed as a special audit, because in certain cases where looking at the nature and complexity of the transactions, that the commissioner feels that this cannot be handled, of course, by their department. So they will nominate the empaneled chartered accountants or cost accountants, and the procedure is laid down for that in section 66. I'll come to the last leg of my presentation, GST preparations with respect to returns and payments. Some points, some very brief points which we need to keep in mind prior to 1st July. That is what the previous speaker said, that on 30th June you will go to sleep, next day you wake up, there is a GST in the country. So what things you have to prepare prior to that, because this first immediate thing which is going to affect you is the returns and payments. Technicalities, it would be the first. You cannot keep on delaying your returns if you do not want to be in the chain. So first things, the factors which you can check here. Some brief areas that you would affect would be vendors and customers. Something related to vendors and customers you would have to do. Something related to your finance and administration you will have to have a look up. Then to your human resource, and finally the information systems. These 4 areas are there where you need to take care, certain preparations you need to do prior to your implementation or the starting of the GST era. Let's have a first one here, the vendors. Most of us who are having the clients who serve the big clients, they must have already started receiving this, that other parties are collecting your GST or they are asking for your acknowledgement ARNs also. So make sure you also collect your GST, you verify it, you verify on the website whether they are migrated or no, and with your past experience, make sure whether such vendors are sincere and honest to pay their taxes. If you're dealing with somebody who are bogus purchase dealers, don't expect that you are going to get any credits in the GST era. So make your vendor verification, as now you still have 1.5 months to go, assuming 1st July would be the GST implementation day. For customers also, you cannot give any period credit. Your credit should be credit policies you need to redefine. Your tax collection should be crucial. You need to collect the money from there, else you will be in a big financial trouble. Again, for the vendors also, you need to collect the GSTN and whether they are migrated, because errors in filing the returns as regards the GSTN number would only increase your burden of compliances. The finance and administration part, changes in working capital requirements would be there, looking at all the laws of the GST. As far as even your returns and payments are concerned, you have a very tight cycle for filing of returns and making the payments prior to filing of returns, even getting of credit, so it will affect your working capital. There would be a credit blockage to some extent due to separate registrations in multiple states, or if you take vertical wise registration. Credit unavailability would be there by the default of vendors. You need to factor this point. while considering your payment liabilities as end of the coming month whenever the GST starts, there would be late filing fees automatic through the system, so you don't have any option whether to add or delete that. It would be there by default if you do the delay. There would be a default levy of interest also, and you need to take also this factor that whether you have to cancel your GSTN number if you are actually not crossing the limits post the implementation of the ERA. Human resources, yes, there are increased compliances. It is not just that by getting more people you would be able to go through it. You will have to have a continuous internal trainings, higher requirements for human resource for handling GST compliances. So make sure you are very well equipped with your human resource for in the GST era or to welcome the GST era. And information system, the next important thing is you need to have a robust information system. You need to do all the modifications with respect to the current system. Whatever your current system taxes and everything, it has been levied, or the concepts of your provision of services, or may it be the sale concept, whatever, everything is going to get changed to supply concept. Make sure your systems are modified to capture these aspects. And invoicing, accounting and filing of returns must be synchronized. It would be a humongous task if you do separate invoicing, then again there is another person who is going and doing the accounting aspect of it, and then the filing of returns by the third aspect. It should be completely synchronized. By entry at one level would cover all these three aspects. I guess I have so much to speak on this. We would have the next speaker who can deliberate in detail upon these topics. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gauravji. I think that we will immediately start the next this thing, that mementos and other things we will keep later. Huh? I request CA Jayesh Mishra to introduce CA Ashish Shah.
Thank you, Javier sir. Friends, we have Ashish Shah with us, who is basically a partner into Shah and Savla. He has delivered lecture at the study circles and various branches of the WIRC and service taxes, delivered lectures organized by the professional bodies, that is BCAs, Chamber of Tax Consultant and All India Federation of the Tax Practitioners, providing trainings to various corporates on the indirect taxes, VAT and GST. He is one of the contributors to referencer every year published by the Sales Tax Practitioner Association of Maharashtra. He is convener of GST Committee of Sales Tax Practitioner Association of Maharashtra for the year 2016-17 and member of Indirect Tax Committee of WIRC ICI for the year 2016-17. A warm welcome to sir. Please join me with a great round of applause. Thank you.
I would like to give a flower to our speaker.
A very good evening to all of you. Yeah, oh, still people. Very good evening to all of you. Yeah, that's it. So I'm really a large batsman. Nothing would be there after this session, so please be relaxed. And my subject is such, it's more on a procedural side, so I will not tax your mind because I know from last 2 days, everyone is taxing about GST, what is supply, we have to forget all the concept of sale, services, now the new concept supply, what we have to keep it in mind. We have to forgo so many old things which is there in my mind. But in the procedural aspect, nothing like that. It's everything compares. GST is a technology savvy law. We don't have to do much about it. Everything, our system will work. So we need not have too much bothered our mind. Now, before I come to the subject proper, being a last batsman, I have to been allotted some additional duties because the previous speaker, he has been given the registration thing that he said that now I have to cover. So I will cover that aspect. And Gaurav has given us the brief trailer about the whole return, payment module and the audit module. And I have to give you the full picture of these three modules in the given available time which has been given to me. So now quickly, first of all, go to the registration very briefly. So registration under GST. So now we have understood that who is required to be registered under the GST. Naturally, the person who supplies the goods or supplies the services, he needs to register under the GST. But at what point of time, where to, which class of SSE, that becomes very important. So first of all, who is required to register? First one is the person registered to pay tax under the existing indirect taxes. That means those who are now, you know that which are the laws which are subsumed under the GST. So all the existing taxpayers under the existing law needs to be migrated. And I am very much sure that all of you have migrated to your clients from the existing system to the new system, and it would be an easy thing for you, all of you, right? No, that's not the real fact. Many of you might have some problem in putting the digital signature. Site was not working, and because of that, some of the SSEs has not been given link to migrate from the existing VAT registration or a service tax registration to the new SSE. These all are the problems which were, and 30th April has come. Many of you may not be able to really migrate it. Now what is to be done? Please, friends, don't worry. It is not an end to that. Because if we legally speak, section 139 of the CGST Act provide that a person, whenever a GST law comes into existence, he has to file one form which is known as a form number 25 under the GST law, which needs to be uploaded along with all the documents, and then he would be registered. So that doesn't mean that from 1st of July, suppose if you have missed the bus, then you won't be debarred from that. This process has been done only with a perspective so that on the first day of July, when you wake up in the morning, you may not feel that, yes, now what should I do? Because I am unregistered person. Other person will have to pay the service tax under reverse charge basis. So in order to avoid all these things, some early process has been carried out by the government so that at a later date there should not have problem. So all the existing registration persons under the law needs to be registered. Second thing is, now suppose I am not registered under the existing law and I am starting my business in the month of August 2017. Then what would be the position? Then I have an option either to register from 1 rupee. Whenever I supply the goods or services, I have an option that is known as a voluntary registration. Or as our Union Finance Minister said, that there is a threshold limit of 20 lakhs rupees is there. Suppose I say, no, let me first reach to the 20 lakhs rupees and then I will opt for the registration. So if by calculating the turnover of 20 lakhs rupees, the law provides that you have to try to count the all the places in the state, 32 states from which I am supplying the goods or services. So I was wondering when I was reading this 20 lakhs and aggregate turnover all over India basis, I was wondering how this small person who doesn't have turnover of 20 lakhs and he is having a branch all over India level basis. But this is what law is there. It's very difficult. Why such kind of things they are keeping? Why at one end limit is too small, and how that small person can be able to do this much business. Then making interstate supply, the person who supplies the goods or services to the other state, that is known as interstate supply, and they have to register from 1 rupee. Whenever they wanted to make a transaction, outward supply, then they have to register with the authorities. This is the same provision which is there under the VAT laws. If you wanted to do an CST transaction, you must have to have the registration. Then next is a casual and non-resident supplier. Who is casual and non-resident supplier? The person who doesn't have the fixed or a permanent place of business in that state, and he wanted to carry out the business, then they are known as a casual taxable person. Let us take an example of a person, a diamond merchant, who wanted to exhibit his diamond in the state of Gujarat, and therefore he participate and go into the state of Gujarat. Then in that respect, he doesn't have any fixed place of business in Gujarat. Then what should he do? Naturally, he will be registered as a casual taxable person in the state of Gujarat. Now, then he said that at what point of time he has to take the registration? The law provides that before 5 days from the date of exhibition, he has to obtain the registration. In advance, he has to take. Right? So that whenever sales takes place, supply takes place, he can discharge the tax liability. Then who is non-resident supplier? Same way, a person who is residing not in India, outside India, and if he wanted to do any business in the India and doesn't have any fixed place of business in India, then he has to obtain the registration number as a non-resident supplier. Then voluntary registration, I have already told you. And last is a specific class of person. Now these are the specific class of person. Here also they need not have to do the threshold limit exemptions would not be applicable. Who are those? First, person who requires to discharge the tax liability under reverse charge mechanism. You must be aware that under which two circumstances reverse charge mechanism applies. Number first, when you are supplying to a person who is when you are procuring the goods or services from an unregistered person and you are a registered person, then tax needs to be discharged under reverse charge mechanism. Second, in respect of certain few categories of services or goods in which the tax needs to be discharged under the reverse charge mechanism. Friends, yet the list has not been specified that under which services or under which goods the tax needs to be discharged under reverse charge mechanism. But it appears that when the law would be finalized from, let's say, first day of July 2017, at that point of time, we will come to know that which are the specific goods or services which are under reverse charge mechanism. So under these two circumstances, whether person is supplying the goods or services, if he has to discharge the tax liability under reverse charge mechanism, he has to register. He doesn't have choice. Like at present under the service tax law, if a trader is there and he is paying the freight charges for the transport of goods from one place to another, then he has to register under the service tax law, under the goods transport agency, irrespective of the fact of his turnover, right? Then next is person who have to deduct the tax at source. That means if a supplier is supplying the, yes. Correct. Hmm. Hmm. So very rightly you said that what would be the limit of this thing. Friends, under the GST, government wants that each and every transaction has to be taxed. Then that tax needs to be discharged by the person who supplies the goods or the person who receives the goods or services. So that what will happen that this 20 lakhs turnover limit would not be applicable in that. The 20 lakhs rupees, if suppose my turnover is less than 20 lakhs rupees, I am a small turnover, then I will not register. But suppose if you are procuring goods or services from me, then you have to pay it. So in all, there is no basic limit of this 20 lakhs rupees, which is there in the current present scenario. See, the obvious thing is that under the existing law, what are the rate of tax which is there? Say, for example, if as a manufacturer, then 12% is the excise duty and 13.5% is the VAT. So total 25%. In GST era, what would be the rate? 18%. So from where the revenue will come? If in this manner, if the transaction is exempted, then from where the revenue will come? So that is the precise. करना पड़ेगा, 100% करना पड़ेगा. नहीं, अगर मैं 20 लाख से नीचे हूं तो मैं नहीं करवाऊंगा, लेकिन आपको तो करना ही है. हाँ, अच्छा, both are URD. Okay. तो फिर ठीक है, both are URD, then you need not have to. नहीं, लेकिन यहाँ आ जाएगा ना, if I am carrying on business, then definitely. If मैं एक खाली घर में बैठा हूँ, बेकार आदमी हूँ, I don't do any business. हाँ, then so you have to. If you are doing business, you have to do that. Whether your turnover is below, कोई मतलब नहीं है. And believe me, friends, ये जो भी unregistered है, it would be very difficult for them to do the business. Correct. Very true. हाँ, अभी सब लोग जाग गए हैं. You have raised a very good question. Chalo. So, shall I go to the next or any other doubt? Chalo. Person who have to deduct the tax at source. When a supplier of goods or services supplies that goods to either the local authority or a government department or a government agency, then at that time of payment by those government agency, they have to deduct the tax at source from the payment which they are making. So the law says that though the government agency does not provide any supply goods or services, they have to register for the purpose of this TDS. Next is the electronic commerce operator for specified categories of supply. Here also it says that in respect of certain specified class of person, when they supply their goods or services through this electronic commerce operator, then electronic commerce operator have to discharge the tax liability and not by that supplier. So even they have to register. Then person who supplies through electronic commerce operator other than previous one, then in that respect, that if I am supplying the goods or services from say Flipkart, then in that respect even I have to register without any threshold limit exemption. Then brokers and agents who supply the goods on behalf of other person. This is now very important. Now it says that broker and principal or a branch and a head office both are a distinct entity having a same PAN. So since they are the distinct entity, they have to register themselves under the GSTT without any threshold limit exemption. Then supplying online information and database access and retrieval services. What these services is this? Can you give me any example? Pardon? No, I didn't get you. Kya? Just dial. Just dial. Is it possible that you are getting the database access and retrieval system facility? The best example, Taxman software, we are using it. From there, if you pay the subscription, you will get the articles, you can get the case laws from direct tax, indirect tax. So this is what? This is what online database access and retrieval services. Now suppose this is about that. Now suppose today evening when you are going from here, too much tired, you wanted to see a movie, Bahubali देखना है, suppose जिसी ने नहीं देखा है, ticket तो भी मिलेगी नहीं. So what you will do? You can go to Netflix, download that movie but for that matter you have to pay the price. So that is also database, online database access and retrieval services. So have you tried the Netflix? नहीं, अरे आज करना फिर. You have to experience it. Then only you will understand whether tax you are paying or not paying. So whenever you are downloading, you have to pay the movie charges plus service tax in the present law. And when the GST comes, GST tax would be payable, right? So even these guys have to be registered. Sir? But government, wait, are you paying anything to government? Huh? No. But there are no charges are there, na? So what you will pay? किसमें? अच्छा MCA क्यों? तो वहाँ हो जाएगा. लेकिन उसको वो exemption में लिस्ट में रखा रहेगा. Right? So that won't be applicable. Otherwise government आप income tax की website में से if anything law देख रहे income tax act तो वहाँ कुछ charge नहीं है ना? So it's a free services. So free services, it's not a supply, right? Free services are supply. Yes. No, free goods, free supply. No, it is only if it is with related party, then only it's supply. If it is not with related party, then there has to be a consideration. If it is no consideration, then it is not a supply. So these are the class of persons who have to be registered. Yeah. No turnover limit from 1 rupee. Yes, but that deposit they have not mentioned, but you have to keep a deposit. Before the transaction makes, you have to deposit the advance money. Advance. Estimated tax liability to pay. Now I was trying to understand, how do I understand that this is my estimated tax liability? Because I don't know whether the person will come to my exhibition or not. But the law says you have to first deposit the money because tomorrow he doesn't have that fixed establishment in that state. So he may fly away. So that's why they have said at least you have to give some money. Yes, 100%. Refund तो है ही, कभी मिलेगा वो नहीं पूछने का. Provision is there. Provision is there. एक मिनट. Yeah. Acha, in respect of casual and non-resident taxable person, they will give the registration certificate for 6 months. After that, if suppose still you wanted to do the business, then again you have to apply. If the invoice value is more than 2.5 lakhs, then only it would be applicable. Yes, but and the supply should be to the government agency, local authority, then only, not other. Yeah, 100%. Income tax law is direct tax law. That has nothing to do with this. खाली नाम TDS है, वो TDS नहीं रहेगा ऐसा लग रहा है, जो income tax में है. Now we have understood who are the persons who is required to be registered. So naturally there are some persons who is not required to be registered, right? So first of all, employee provides services to employer. that is not a supply, so they need not have to register. Services by any court or tribunal established under any laws. So you know that whenever you wanted to file a appeal petition before court, you have to pay the filing fees. So that filing fees will say, no, this is not a supply, so you need not have to register. हाँ ये बड़ा अच्छा है. Services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary including transportation of the deceased. ये सब ठीक है, but it says only transportation of the deceased. That means the person should be deceased, then only there is not required. So if the person is injured, then it would be covered. So that thing you have to keep it in mind. Sometimes law becomes funny. Huh? So how to come to know when a person is, say, for example, shifted from hospital to home or home to hospital, at that time he was alive, only is in a critical position, and in the raste mein kuch ho gaya, then what is to be done? Taxing. Sale of land and sale of building, one of the another thing. Do you know the definition of goods? It says definition of goods other than immovable property. ठीक है, तो sale of land, land and building will not come over there. Then definition of services, it says other than goods is the definition of services. So now कहाँ भी immovable property is not covered. But धीरे से उन्होंने लिख दिया था under that schedule 1 that land and building will not be covered under the supply. So that's why it would be kept out of it. Then actionable claim other than lottery, betting and gambling. Supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Alcoholic liquor specifically been kept out, so they need not register. So now what will happen to the restaurant who is supplying liquor as well as the meal? So they have to have वो जो liquor का part है वहाँ they have to pay all excise law, currents law, they have to pay also VAT on that. And on the food side, supply of F&B, normal GST would be applied. Then basket of petroleum product, namely crude, HSD, motor spirit, natural gas and ATF. They are also kept out of the GST. Either in a 2 or 3 years period of time, they would be covered. So here also petrol pump. Petrol pump also provides now 2 kinds of services. Sale of petrol, diesel and sale of oil or lubricant. So both the latter one is under the GST, previous one is not under the GST. So only the credit ki proportion mein they would be hardly hit, right? Because they are providing non-taxable and taxable supplies. Huh? Correct. Okay, you are from HPCL. Okay, so now you have to very badly it would be there. Exclusively in the business of supply, which are either not taxable or wholly exempt from tax. And next one is the agriculturist. To the extent of supply of produce out of the cultivation of land, जैसे अपने यूनियन मिनिस्टर ने बताया कि एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को उन्होंने आउट रखा है, तो they need not have to register. Now another important one we have understood who has to register, which place needs to be registered, very important. So the law provides that the place from which you are supplying the goods or services in that state, that place would be considered as a place of supply. So which would be your place of supply? So place of supply would be normally your place of business. ठीक है, अगर मैं यहाँ भायंदर से कुछ सप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, सर्विसेज दे रहा हूँ, but that which place? Naturally, my permanent place or a place of business, that needs to be registered. So we have to understand the definition of place of business. It says place from where a business is ordinarily carried on and includes a warehouse, godown or any other place where a taxable person stores his goods, supplies or receives goods or services or both. Or a place where a taxable person maintains his books of account, or a place where taxable person is engaged in the business through an agent by whatever name called. That means from, if I am having a manufacturing concern, having branches in all over India in 10 places, then I have to register all those 10 places from which the supply takes place. Lovely. So all of you agree for that? All of you agree to this my statement? Yes, exactly. Now suppose instead of goods, now I will give you an example of services. I am having 10 immovable properties in different states of India. I am having an immovable property in Delhi, in Haryana, in Punjab, and so on. And all the properties I have let it out. उसके ऊपर से मुझे rent आ रहा है. Now the question is, which place needs to be registered? All the 10 places, or only one place that is from Bombay, from where I am sitting over here, my place of business? All the places, lovely. Why all the places? Whether Delhi place office, my immovable property is located, whether that place provides any services or supply. Location, हाँ वो ठीक है, location, correct. So location of the supply, so what it says, there are two things, place of business. Now read again, which is my place of business. It says first, place from where the business is ordinarily carried on. From my Delhi immovable property, whether that is carried on business, no. That place is used for providing the supply. My Delhi immovable property is used to provide that place, that is not. So the next concept is permanent establishment. Location of the supplier, how you would determine the location, as someone was telling me just now. Location of supplier, let's read that definition, very important. It says where a supply is made from a place of business for which registration has been obtained, the location of such place of business. That means that place, my Mumbai office, if it is registered from where any supply is made, that place. Therefore in Mumbai, all my management and control sits over here and they will decide whether to give it on rent to some person in Delhi or not. Second, where a supply is made from a place other than place of business for which registration has been obtained, the location of such fixed establishment. Now the thing is, whether in this fixed establishment which is there in Delhi, whether I am providing any supply, obvious reply is no. That place is used only for providing the supply. And third is where the supply is made from more than one establishment, whether the place of business establishment or fixed establishment, then the establishment which is most directly concerned with the provision of supply, that needs to be taken. And in the absence of such place, the location of the usual place of residence. So on analyzing the place of business and the location of the supplier of service, it appears that not all the 10 places needs to be registered in respect of renting of immovable property services. Only because service is totally different from goods. Okay? So that point one has to keep it in mind. Concept of centralized registration, which is there as present under the service tax law, is not there. So that's why in my earlier example of renting of immovable property in 10 different places, I was used to take the centralized registration and discharging tax liability, but now it won't be possible. Or possible? That one has to say. So now the concept of input service distributor is there. So now in the same example of I'm a manufacturing concern, I am having 5 different places my units are located. And since they are my branches, so all the 5 branches would be registered. But now if I wanted to avail the credit which is I am receiving in my principal place or a head office, how do I do that? Because from my principal place, I am not supplying any goods or services. Therefore, in order to distribute that credit, the concept of input service distributor has been borrowed from the service tax law, and through the input service distribution, one can distribute the credit. Debit note or credit note for what? No, how do you do that? Say for example, my Delhi branch is having an excess money. My Gujarat branch. Hmm. 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 But how head office will do that? Head office can do that, distribute credit only which belongs to that place. Taken a simple example of an audit fees. You have 5 different places, but the audit fees would be from your HO. How would you distribute it? Then? Correct. So as an auditor, you will give the bills for 5 different places. That for my Delhi office, my fees are 10,000 rupees. Then how? That's what I am asking you, sir. It's not possible. It would be possible only on the basis of ISD, and then on the basis of proportion of those all turnover of branches, it has to be distributed. You can't distribute it arbitrarily through debit note or credit note. That's why this mechanism, input service distributor mechanism, is there to distribute the whatever credit which is there in the head office or a principal place. Yes. We have to. Registration? Correct, exactly. So you have to have the two registration. One is simple registration of your HO and another is for the as an ISD. Because ISD can only do the distribution, nothing else. He is just like a postman. What is the job of postman? He has to receive the post from the consignor and give it to the consignee. That is the role of the input service distributor. You are from? Okay. So can you arrange a mic for them? Because, yeah. Yeah.
Sir, we migrated for every state, 29 states, but in many of the states we did not choose the ISD option. So when the portal opens again, we have to choose it.
See, ISD would be only one. Your HO would be only one. HO cannot be 15, na?
Okay.
So HO should be one. Say for example, Bombay is your registered office BPCLs, and that would be your principal place of business, or an HO. That the option is always with you.
Hello.
Yeah.
So per se, the offices are not providing services. Marketing setup is there. People are sitting there and doing the marketing functions.
Okay.
So in this case, if this office avails the services, do I have to avail for each of the offices to distribute manufacturing?
So the idea, so what was his question, that in 10 different places, there only persons are sitting to market the product, whatever he is producing, or market the services. So whatever input services are there in 10 different locations, what will happen to them? Because technically on the other output side, they are not providing any this thing. So now the problem will start that you have to register that, consider that as your branch. You have to invoice, that means HO will issue the invoice, so that will become an output service for your branch, and then you can take the set benefit. Otherwise it won't be possible, because एक state का दूसरे state के साथ credit adjust नहीं होगा. That's pretty much sure. So now internally you have to do the billing and adjust the credit whatever is there.
Sir,
Yeah, many questions are now coming.
so my business turnover is 18 crores. 18 lakhs, and rent
18 or 80?
18,
18.
and rent income is 3 lakhs. So I have to take registration by adding both of them, or I have to see individually?
All the supply has to be.
Goods as well as supply, both.
Yes, supply includes now everything. So not forget goods. Even if you have sold your business, then also you have to take that into consideration, right?
Hello. Sir, in my given case,
Who is there? Just raise the hand.
sir. So, as you suggested that that to bill to the HO, right? So, but bill in the for the, as a supply of something, or it is ISD?
Naturally, because your branch is providing you the marketing services to your head office.
Okay. So, marketing function per se would be treated as a service to.
Yes,
sell.
to the HO.
Okay.
To the HO.
Sir.
Or otherwise, all the expenses which that you are procuring, that should be in the name of your HO, but that is not practical. That's why.
Sir. Hello. Sir.
Just raise your
Sir.
Sorry.
We are dealing in goods, but in existing law we have a VAT number as well as a service tax number also.
Okay.
But we are not providing any kind of services.
Okay.
Just service number has been taken to pay the reverse charge. That purpose.
Okay.
So whether do we need to take IST registration also in GSTN?
No, so ISD is required only to distribute the credit of head office concept like that. Otherwise, there is no need.
So
Suppose if you are having only one office in the state of Maharashtra,
We have multiple offices.
Acha, you have multiple offices.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in that respect, yes, if the main principal office doesn't have any output services, then and then only this concept of ISD will be worked
No,
out.
so
Otherwise, it will not have any problem.
output services we don't have.
In head office.
Yeah.
So then in that respect, you have to register that as an input service distributor.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Now this is a simple procedure for registration. Whenever you wanted to do the registration, and I'm sure all of you have gone through this, that first of all log on to the GST common portal, fill up the form. Now before filling up they require three things. PAN, permanent account number issued by the income tax department. Second one is your email ID, and third one is mobile number. If you don't have email ID and mobile number, then you won't be get the ARN number, right? So these three things are important. Once you give that detail, immediately one application, you will get an OTP. Now OTP is very famous, one-time password. Everywhere you see OTP, and person has to accept it. Unless and until you accept it, you can't go ahead. So once you have received the OTP, and on submission of the clicking, then you will get one number that is known as an annual, you will get a reference number, right? That is known as an ARN number. Once you receive that, you have to fill up the form, registration form, upload all the required documents like in respect of a constitution of business, place of business, place of director's address, and all that details you have to upload with the GSTN network. Then within 3 days, proper officer have a time that he will verify whether all the documents which have been mentioned is correct or not. If it is correct, then definitely the registration certificate would be granted. But if not, then within 7 working days, he has to issue him a notice that this is the deficiency notice, that these are the documents which are not there. So please submit it, and then the SSC has to submit all the document, and then they will again verify. If it is fine, registration certificate would be issued to them. If that has not been done due to any reason, then his registration will not be allotted. Then he is not registered person. Correct. That is, yeah. Because
does that mean the registration is not complete?
yes, you have to rectify that error because your name should correlate with your PAN. So in the PAN, you might have put some in different name, then in that case it is possible. So
No,
you
but
have to first obtain the correct name from the NSDL website, and then you have to rectify it.
No, but the SEC is filing the income tax returns on this.
Fine. All that. See, return file, you can put anything, it will accept it, because while filing the return, only PAN is verified, not name. That's the thing.
So the registration is not complete.
No. You have to rectify that defect. Now, once your certificate of registration is obtained, so another onerous task for all the taxpayer is to display the certificate of registration which has been received before in the principal place of business and every additional place of business. Okay? Not only the registration certificate, they have to also submit their registration number before every registered place of business and additional place of business. तो क्या हो जाएगा, if I am having one office and I am running 5 or 10 different companies, तो 10 कंपनी का वहाँ रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट लगाने का, रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर लगाने का, और फिर उसमें भी अभी since we are in Maharashtra, so we have to put it in Marathi also. So just see how many now we require so lot of space. So first day of July से बहुत सारे ये भी हमें करनी पड़ेगी. So one has to add that thing also in the process, that what are the things to be done before GST starts from first day of July. Please incorporate this also. Now GST payment, I think Gaurav has covered everything, so I am not covering any GST thing. Now returns. Returns he has also always there, but I will go a little bit depth into it. Do I need to file the return? Of course, yes. As Gaurav has very rightly said that every SSC has to file the return because we are in a self-assessed era. We have to file the return that should be correct and complete in all respect, so that the officer will get the correct information. So which return needs to be filed? One is details of outward supply, details of inward supply, and then that is the return. And last one is the return in the prescribed format. So detail of outward supply, for the sake of convenience, we will say it's a sales register. For the details of inward supply, for the sake of convenience, I will say purchase register. And last one is the return. So every month these 3 returns needs to be filed by each and every taxpayer who is registered with the GSTN. Okay? Now there is a one common return that already he has discussed. Now let us see the types of return. Mic the mic. Yes sir, boliye.
Instead of IGST, I paid CGST or SGST.
Okay.
What will be happen?
See, if you made any wrong transaction, say for example, in your view, that was an interstate transaction, but the law authority says, no, this is an intrastate transaction. Then you have to make the payment first of all and ask for the refund for the interstate tax. पहले पेमेंट कर देना पड़ेगा.
या तो फिर अगले रिटर्न में वो एडजस्ट हो जाएगा.
यस, अदरवाइज आपके यहाँ एडजस्टमेंट है, पैसा पड़ा है क्या, तो डेफिनेटली यू कैन एडजस्ट इट.
नेक्स्ट मंथ में लायबिलिटी है तो फिर वो एडजस्ट हो जाएगा.
डेफिनेटली यू हैव 2 years ऑप्शन. 2 साल तक अगर सपोज कुछ नहीं हुआ, you don't have any transaction and that money is still lying, then within 2 years you have to ask for file a refund application. That will be there in your refund provisions.
Okay sir, thank you.
Now first return is return of outward supply, जिसको हम sales register कहेंगे. हाँ, कि जिसमें all your outward supply whatever you have made during that particular month plus whatever details you have done for the previous period, that has to be mentioned in this return. This return has to be filed in GSTR 1. Okay? And this has to be filed by the 10th of the next month. That means July 2017 we are there. So July 2017, when whatever supply of goods or services has been made, that detail we need to provide before the 10th of August of the next month. Okay? Now let's see which details one has to give, because that is very important. 2 kinds of detail needs to be given: invoice wise detail and consolidated details. Now let us first off see the invoice wise detail. So what details one has to give? Interstate and intrastate supplies made to the registered taxable person. That means all B2B transaction will be covered over here. That means I am a registered person, other person is also a registered person. That means it's a business to business transaction. All this interstate and intrastate transaction needs to be given on a invoice wise basis. Per invoice details needs to be uploaded. Second thing, interstate supplies with an invoice value of more than 2.5 lakhs made to an unregistered person. So if you made a single invoice of an interstate transaction and that person is not registered and having an invoice value of more than 2.5 lakhs, again invoice wise detail needs to be provided. Now, consolidated details. No. There is no scanning now. But other things is there that I will come. Consolidated details, interstate supplies made to an unregistered person for each rate of tax, that is a B2C transaction. They say if I am having a provision store, so mostly it is a transaction with B2C transactions, then I need not have to give the invoice wise details. What I have to do at the end of the day, I have to take the sum on the basis of the each tax rate and give the details each day wise. State-wise interstate supplies with invoice value of less than 2.5 lakhs made to an unregistered person for each rate of tax. ऊपर हमने देखा था 2.5 lakhs with an unregistered person, more than 2.5 lakhs. Less than 2.5 lakhs, we have to give a consolidated details for all interstate and intrastate transaction. Then third is the debit note and credit note, if any, issued during the month for which invoice is issued previously. Now when you are issuing the debit note or credit note, whenever there is a variation in the quantity, like 1000 kg यहाँ से भेजा था, वहाँ पहुँचा 990 हो गया. Or otherwise, if there is any rate difference, I have said that rate is 100 rupees, but he will say no, my rate is 95 rupees. Then we need to issue the debit note or credit note. Why like that? All this debit note or credit note also needs to go. Now, why I have said that the invoices for which is issued previously, because all these things will happen at a later date. So while filing the return, we have to give the details of the current tax period as well as the previous tax period. And one of the very important thing over here is that each and every transaction has to be tagged. When we see the format of return, at that time I will explain you how the transaction has to be tagged. So then you will issue the credit note for the same, no? So, but naturally something has to be
We will
done.
reduce this stock because it will show.
No, that's what. Now everything has to be routed through debit note or credit note. You cannot do anything like
To
that.
whom I will raise this debit?
Naturally, to whom you are selling.
No, suppose I have a medicine shop. मेरे पास suppose करिए कि 1000 रुपीज का स्टॉक खराब हो गया. अब उसको तो मैं सप्लायर को भी नहीं लौटा सकता हूँ, कस्टमर को भी नहीं बेच सकता. मुझे स्टॉक से रिड्यूस करना है. कैसे रिड्यूस करूंगा उसको और कैसे रिटर्न में दिखाऊंगा?
जीएसटी में फॉर पेइंग द टैक्सेस, राइट, वो स्टॉक में कैसे करेंगे, वो अकाउंटिंग एंट्रीज है. लेट्स पुट इट अक्रॉस. बराबर. फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ जीएसटी, इफ द गुड्स आर डैमेज्ड, देन नेचुरली यू कांट गेट द रिफंड ऑफ द सेम. इज इट? बिकॉज इट इज जस्ट लाइक इट्स गुड्स लॉस्ट. उसका थोड़ी आपको कोई रिफंड मिलेगा. नो सर. If you are returning, then only this question will come, debit not. There has to be other party, next party.
Credit gone.
Credit gone. Now details of outward supply furnished by the supplier shall be made available electronically to the concerned.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, in case of...
Can I request one thing?
Yes,
Let
sir.
me complete this GSTR one.
Sir, related to this only.
No, I understand. So that what will happen, that many of the problem will solve. Otherwise, if it is not solved, then definitely I will tell you.
Okay.
Please. Otherwise, what will happen? The link will be broken. That's the reason. Now, whenever to the next of 10th month, if I have sold the goods to my client, the recipient, then naturally I have to upload all the details before the 10th. So now what GSTN network will do? GSTN network will say from the 11th day morning, they will give all the details to my recipient that you have procured the goods or services from Mr. Ashit Shah. So they will receive in their network that these are the goods which you have procured, goods or services. तो उनके पास 11th को आ जाएगा. That would be in the form GSTR 2A. So on the 11th, everyone has to wake up early in the morning. See the पहले भगवान का नाम लेने का बराबर आपने बोला. Pray the God, and then open your computer dashboard and then see that whether all the procurement of goods or services has been there or not. If it is not there due to any reason, you have to make a phone calls to your supplier that please upload the detail, otherwise I will not be eligible to gain the credit of the same. Who can? Yeah, correct, I am coming. The date is there, na? Yes. Now what will be, so he will not be able to take it. So usko inform to karna hi padega. So between 10 to 15 this process will go on. Because till 15th, the other guy has to upload his purchase side, that means the inward side. Now due to any reason, if this period of 10 days is less, अरे बाप रे मेरा time हो गया लगता है. Now due to any reason, if my time limit of 10th is lower, I feel that this is very at a lower side, then I have an option to put an application before the commissioner that please sir, this 10 days period of time is too less, please increase it. I am sure that will not be happen. But for the law, we have to provide that thing. Then on receipt of the details in form GSTR 2A, that means, say for example, I have sold the goods to my recipient, and recipient has all the right to do any amendment, any addition, any deletion, everything, and then he will give it back to the his supplier. तो मेरे जो recipient के पास है, मैंने 1 lakh rupees का invoice बना के upload किया, he says नहीं 1 lakh is not correct, it is 90,000, so he will amend it, edit it, and give it again back to me after the 15th. So मेरे पास वो सारी information आ जाएगी. कोई बोलेगा नहीं आपने तो you have not provided me services, so he will delete the transaction. So between 15th and 17th, the supplier has a chance again to modify it. Either he has to accept that whatever the other guy has said, 95,000 bola, so I will accept 95, then my transaction would be 95,000. If other guy says, no, you have not provided me the services, then I have to delete it. I will accept it, so mera wo transaction wahan se nikal gaya. So this exercise has to be done between the 2 days, 48 hours we will get it. Within that, we have to do that. And then, this is the inward. Then next. Now what will happen? That if there is any details which has been furnished for any tax period and remain unmatched due to any reason, now the transaction is not matched. I have said 1 lakh rupees, he said 95,000, both of them say no, I said I am right, the other guy's recipient says no, I am right. Now who will decide? So it will not be matched. Then in that respect, I have to, as a supplier, I have to discharge my tax liability on 1 lakh rupees. The other guy, recipient, he will not get the credit for the same because transaction is not matched. Then what will happen? All phone calls will again start, SMS will start, WhatsApp will start. And then ultimately after 2 months, 3 months period of time, that anyone will be settled. बोलेगा चलो 97.5 thousand में settle करते 3 महीने के बाद. Then when to do the rectification? That is called rectification of the transaction. So the law provides that the rectification can be made before the due date of furnishing the return for the month of September, following the end of the financial year. That means August 2017 का transaction है, तो September 2018 इसका return जब भी file करना है, that is the due date is 20th October. Till that point of time, I have a chance to rectify that error. If I could, or furnishing of the annual return, that is 31st day of December, whichever is earlier. Uske andar I have time to rectify it. If I could not rectify it, then other person, my recipient, will not get the credit. I have to discharge the tax liability on whatever amount I have disclosed. ऐसा नहीं है कि even I don't have to pay the tax. Please don't be under that impression. Now this is the format of GS. Then we will take the question. I will take question, just let me. Now this is the format of GSTR1 return, right? GSTIN number, name of the taxable person, and aggregate turnover. This would be auto-populated. You need not have to do anything. So that's why it's an, what is a technology-driven law. Now we will understand. Now in here, taxable outward supply to a registered person. So what details we need to give? First of all, GSTIN number dena padega. So now our system should be such that it should give the details by GSTIN number wise. Right? So you have to, first of all, in your accounting system, you have to change your masters. Masters mein GSTIN number sabka dal ke rakho, so that it will give the proper output. Then invoice detail. First of all, you have to give the number, date, value. Then you have to say whether that invoice is for goods or for services. Then HSN code or SSC number. What is this HSN code? Harmonized? Yes. So that is unique for each product. That is based on, this is a universally accepted codes. Whenever you are importing, at that time also that code will be prevail. So that code needs also to be mentioned. Now I'm sure that whenever you have applied for the migration, you must have fit the HSN code in the in which you are dealt in, right? So that HSN code should be over. So while preparing the invoices, the HSN code should be there. Otherwise, ये information compile नहीं होगी, right? No, why? It is there only to track whether the rate of tax is properly determined or not. Only for that matter. Yeah, yeah. That is only in respect of sale side you have to give. Purchase side you can purchase anything. That is not possible, sir. See, they will, at present, they will accept whatever you say. At present, they will accept whatever you say. But that later on, it cannot be that. Otherwise, now there is a tracking system. You say that this is an oil, hair oil, and this is the edible oil. So both our rate of tax is different. So now that thing will, classification issues will be solved to a great extent, I will say. Then you have to mention the taxable value. Then you have to determine whether the transaction is an interstate transaction or an intrastate transaction. If it is an interstate transaction, IGST would be applicable. If it is an intrastate transaction, CGST and SGST would be applicable. Then next column is the place of supply, only if different from the location of the recipient. So if you have recollect your place of supply of service in respect of goods, wherein 3 parties are involved, bill to ship to basis. Concept, you know that a consignor is there, company is there, I have sold the goods to the recipient, he says don't deliver it to me, you deliver to my client Mr. X over there. So that is non bill to ship to concept basis. In that respect we have to give, if it is different, then we have to give the detail of that also. Correct. Correct. So that was detail only we have to mention, nothing else. They wanted to know where is the movement. That's it. Then indicate if supply attract reverse charge mechanism. If it is reverse charge mechanism, you have to mention there. Then tax on invoice is paid under provisional assessment. If sometimes you don't know the proper rate of tax, then you may discharge the tax liability under provisional assessment. And if you are dealing with electronic commerce operator, you have to give the details of that. So if you, these are the basic supply details. So from this you will understand that every month your data should come in this manner. If it doesn't come, then you will have a problem. 10 days mein aap kaise file kar payenge. So your accounting system now should be a very robust. You cannot enter every day that mera itna billing hua, abhi main yahan file kar दूं तो कभी तक पहुंचेंगे नहीं. Right? Now 5A. Now 5 is the original thing. 5A is the amendment thing. How it takes. First of all, yeah. You have to issue the separate invoice.
No, the invoice is separate, but because of this nature of business, suppose one person order for 3 items and 3 items is separately display in the invoices but having the same HSN code. So in this circumstance, whether this need to be aggregated while reporting or the item wise reporting is there?
No, see, for example, you are saying that my invoice is one, wherein 3 different products are supplied.
Yeah.
HSN code is different. Then
Same.
Then you have to describe it differently. That's why I said that for all it is feasible, then to issue 3 invoices for the same item. Different HSN code. So 3 items you will describe like this. Otherwise you have to enter
Same
3.
HSN, sir.
Yeah. If it is same HSN, then what is the problem? Then
I am saying that whether I need to aggregate 3 items.
if it is the same HSN, then aggregate, no?
Okay.
Right.
For
It is
each,
an invoice-wise detail needs to be provided. Nah, yes.
sir, for each and every article for HSN code, so do we have need to have a separate invoice for every HSN code?
Correct. Then it would be feasible. Otherwise, you have
But-
to give again the details.
But
of
in
it.
retail industry, I don't think so. It's preferable.
Acha, in retail industry, it's not possible. So
Yeah.
in retail industry, what will happen? You are doing the transaction with B2C.
Yeah, correct.
Correct. Now, in respect of B2C, I believe in retail industry that your invoice value would be less than 2.5 lakhs rupees.
Correct.
Moment it is 2.5 lakhs, you have to give consolidated. You need not have to give line wise.
Line wise, we need not.
नहीं.
give.
So sir, मैंने आपको पहले ही यहाँ बताया.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, if there is a
One by one, one
same
by one.
HSN, if there is a same HSN, there may be instance where you
where
have
are
to
you?
give.
Who is asking?
Yeah. When there is a same HSN, there is a still possibility that you have to give more than one line item if it is supplied to different locations.
But how can it be? So the naturally, if you are supplying, say one HSN goes to Gujarat, one goes to Tamil Nadu, then your invoice would be different, no sir?
I mean, you can have what you call multiple LRs joined together.
नहीं, मैं समझ नहीं रहा हूँ आपका question, sir. Very honestly, what you are trying to say, sir?
So, if there is one HSN, is there no possibility that it can be, there will be more than one line item?
नहीं sir, एक मिनट. Say for example, इसका एक HSN है.
Say composites ये है कि what you call supply है. Composite or mixed supply है.
हाँ.
In that case.
Okay, so right.
Yeah.
Now he is talking about a composite supply where there are more than 2 items are there, right? Or a mixed supply where there are 10 items are there. So now what the law said in respect of a composite supply, principal item has to be selected, right? So what is principal? Say for example, I have transported, I have sold the goods to Mr. A, and I also charge him the freight charges. Now which tax needs to be levied? On the goods side, because my principal supply is supplying the goods. तो उसके ऊपर 18% आता है, तो पूरे ऊपर वो 18% ही होगा. उसका ही HSN कोड करना है, ट्रांसपोर्ट का HSN नहीं लेना है. Now in respect of a mixed supply, what will happen? Say for example, you are selling 10 items A to Z. Now in that A to Z, law provides that maximum rate of tax जो भी item पे है उसका लेना है. Suppose if that happens to be item D, तो D का HSN code आ जाएगा, and that you have to mention.
In case of B2B business, sir.
Where is
here.
it?
Sir, in case of B2C, you have suggested that the consolidated figure will be reported. But in case of B2B business, in a single invoice we have multiple tax rates.
Okay.
So is it required to have a separate tax invoice for each rate in case of B2B business also?
No. The law doesn't say you require to have a separate tax invoice. And one more thing.
Yeah.
Now in the GST law, कितने टैक्स है, कितने रेट ऑफ टैक्स है? एक 5% है, एक 12% है और एक 18% है. 5% में आइटम्स ऑफ बेसिक नेसेसिटीज वुड कवर. In 12 and 18, that are the average rate of tax. Most of the product will cover under 12 and 18. And last है 28% के जिसके अंदर all 26% के जिसके अंदर सारे लग्जरी आइटम्स.
सर लेकिन B2B बिजनेस के अंदर भी रिटेल इंडस्ट्री के अंदर एक इनवॉइस जो होता है सर 64 पेज का इनवॉइस होता है.
So it is advisable to have you can have one invoice, but आपको भरनी पड़ेगी सारी line.
All
Yes. Otherwise, how they will understand that ये HSN code में what is the rate of tax, whether you discharge it in a correct way or not. That is the why it has been mentioned. Otherwise, what is the use of HSN code?
Sir, life is going to be miserable, very.
Why?
Sir,
Of course not.
For
See,
a single invoice where we have a thousands of line item.
Arre, but where you have to do manually, sir, your computer system will do everything for you. You have to just observe.
But we are very much sure that the system is not going to take that load.
Sir, in the evening we have been told that we have to be very much optimistic. Then definitely we would be in a position to do. All right. Chalo, let's go to the next.
Sir.
I think I will not be able to complete anything in the return. Huh?
In our petroleum industry, LPG we are selling now.
Hello.
LPG domestic also is there, non-domestic also is there. HSN is same. Personally, there are two rates. Future also domestic 5 and non-domestic 12%. How will we do it here?
So that you have to bifurcate it.
No.
There is no choice. There is no choice. You have to bifurcate it.
Excuse me, sir, yeah.
Yeah.
We have one bale. We are distributing the different types of products like it. Hello. Yeah, we have one invoice having with the different types of products. So we have a line items HSN. So it takes one invoice is enough, no?
Yeah, one invoice will do. Nobody stops
As long as it's calculating
you
the
have
tax
to just
different
calculate it.
HSN wise.
Yes. HSN wise. So, now here the amendment will come. Now no more question. Till that I complete this GSTR1. Now here first of all you have to give the original invoice detail, right? Then now this table needs to be filled in respect of amendment to details of outward supply to a registered person of earlier tax period. That means my invoice has been issued earlier and I have issued any debit note or credit note, that needs to be put over here. Or if there is any amendment in the invoice. So first of all I have to see the original invoice, then GSTIN number, then the revised or original invoice, that detail I need to give. And then the transaction is interstate, intrastate. So if you will observe here that each transaction has to be tagged. If the transaction is not tagged, then there would be a lot of problem. Then 7 number is the taxable outward supply to a consumer. 7A is in respect of again amendment. This is now very important. This says the details of nil rated, exempted and non-GST outward supply. So here you have to give the details of all nil rated, exempted and GST outward supply. So this would help them to understand that at the time of filing annual return, they will reconcile it with your financial statement and they will understand that what is your total supply which has been done by you. Then next one is the supply to exported supply. Here only the additional thing is the bill of lading or shipping bill needs to be incorporated. Then tax liability arising on account of time of supply without issuance of invoice in the same period. Now when it can be possible? When you have received the money in advance, at that point of time law says that you have to discharge your tax liability, but you may not have issued the invoice, then that detail needs to be compiled over here. Then amendment to tax liability arising on account of time of supply without issuance of invoice in the same tax period. So naturally in the next month you will issue the tax invoice, but the tax must have been discharged in the earlier tax period. Then this is for the supply of transaction for a e-commerce company and issue and the details of invoice is issued in case of an inward supplies received from an unregistered person liable under the reverse tax. So all that detail needs to be given over here. Now we will understand why the invoice needs to be issued. Yes, the law so provides that whenever you are procuring the goods or services from unregistered person, recipient has to issue one invoice by himself and then he has to discharge the tax liability. So that detail needs to be given over here. So now having understood, now can anyone tell me that by doing manual accounts or if their system is not proper accounting software, are you in a position to file it? Next to impossible. So everything has to be on the system only. So your system should be very much robust. So another opportunity for all of us, we should visit and understand the system accounting software of the client, whether that gives the proper accounting system which is required, because within 10 days we have to comply with that. So that is really a challenging thing. Now GSTR2. This is a purchase side, inward, whatever goods or services you have procured during the year, during the tax period and earlier tax period, that needs to be incorporated over here. This has to be filed by the 15th of the next month. So what details one has to say? All inward supply of taxable goods or services or both. Inward supplies of goods or services or both on which the tax needs to be discharged under reverse charge mechanism. Then inward supply of goods or services or both taxable under the IGST or Act, or on which the tax is payable under the section 3 of the Customs Act. This is a high seas transaction, right? Debit note or credit note. Then very important thing. Now this detail basically auto-populated because the GSTN network will send it to the recipient by the 11th. Now, since it is auto-populated, so you will do any addition, deletion, alteration and do that. फिर आपको क्या करना है, आपके पास input tax credit है, that you have to realize, tell them whether the whatever input tax credit, tax paid while procuring the goods or services, whether they are eligible or not eligible. Now I'm sure that while going through the input tax credit, there are certain items which are block credits are there. That means that credit is not eligible. For example, if you buy the motor car के ऊपर input tax credit नहीं है. There are certain apportionment of credit. Apportionment of credit means you are not eligible to avail the full credit because you are providing exempted and non-exempted supply also. Then in that respect, you have to mark it out whether this eligible invoice is eligible for credit or not. That also you have to. So there the help of chartered accountant is required. Their software cannot do anything. So this is another opportunity. In that 5 days period of time, you need not have to match that purchase and sale. You have to see whether the credit is eligible or not, because there only your skill is come into the picture. No, while filing the 15th. Because this is my purchase site. So that has to be uploaded by 15th. At that point of time, we have to identify which is eligible credit. Then again same, if that time period is less, you can have an option, you can go to the commissioner, if he can extend it, fine, otherwise you have to adhere to it. Then if there is any addition to that transaction, reconciliation has to be made, then that has to be again September of the next month of financial year or annual return, whichever is earlier. Now this is the format of GSTR2. Now first says my GSTIN number or the name of the unregistered supplier, because we have to give the details if you are procuring the goods or service from unregistered person. Now here if you say auto-populated, so this column would be auto-populated. If you are procuring the goods or services from unregistered person, you have to mention the detail over here. So this is how the whole input side, purchase side would be generated. Now same way in supply side, what is there? Invoice number, date, value, goods, whether it's goods or services, HSN code, so and so. IGST, CGST, all are same. But then important thing, credit. Eligibility of ITC as input. Thanks. So now we have to see that whether that credit is relating to capital goods, inputs or input services or none. That you have to mention. Then total tax available as ITC. So IGST, CGST and ITC be available for the month. Now why this? Why this? Correct. Now that's where we are all here. Now say for example, a person wanted to have an imported machinery. Specialized machines, not imported, specialized machines, and therefore he has given an order to a vendor that I want of this machine, and he says, okay, you will get the delivery after 2 years period of time, but my condition is that you have to give me an advance of 10% immediately on the booking of the order, next by the 6th month and 40% by the next 6th month, and after 2 years 50% would be the delivery. Now when I make the payment of 10%, that means you know that when any person receives the advance, he has to discharge the tax liability. But I cannot claim the credit because the important condition is that I should have received the goods or services. At present, I have not received the goods or services. So I will say my total credit is this much, but not available in this month. This I can avail it only after once I got the machinery. So there are so many instances like that. Then accordingly, we have to do that. Any other example? Any other, wherever there is a deferment of credit. Like say for example, today you are saying advance is the first thing. Next could be 180 days. Yes, if you don't make the payment, right, then you have to reverse it down. Then that could also be that I am not eligible for the credit. No, that will also come over here, no? that will come also over here. Because say for example, that is known as a invoice wise disallowable and on a apportion basis. So that will also be come over here. So everything will come out. Say for example, you have bought a motor car. Motor car credit not available. So you will say total available credit this much. I am not eligible in this period. Now another important thing, we have to also change our accounting system. How? Now at present what we are doing, whenever we are purchasing the goods or services, at that point of time we will say purchase account debit to vendor account. Okay? If you are buying the capital goods, then what we are generally do, we say fixed assets account, that means computer account debit to vendor account. When we buy stationery, we say printing and stationery account debit to that. But now that won't be help. Every transaction has to be routed through a purchase account, purchase register. Then and then only everything will be, you get the details. Otherwise, how you will get the detail? So this accounting system or a software also needs to be changed. That also we have to inform it to the client that please do that. Otherwise, we will not get all the information. So another problem, if you are buying a चाय वाला नीचे है, तब भी उसके पास चाय पीने जाते हो, तो unregistered ही रहेगा. तो reverse charge आ जाएगा. If you are going for a petty expense of stationery, printing or a photocopy of the document, even that is a non-registered, you have to pay under the reverse charge basis. So lot many things will come now. Correct. This is the law. You will get the credit. You will get the credit. Where is the problem? Only the problem, चाय वाला पे credit नहीं मिलेगा, हाँ, mind it well. Because it's a supply of F&B. चाय वाले के ऊपर reverse charge में टैक्स भरने का credit उसकी नहीं मिलेगी. Please keep it in mind. हाँ? So चाय पीने का बंद कर दो. हाँ, चाय पीने का और पिलाने का दोनों बंद कर दो. Now next, all the details are same as per the GSTR1, so I am not going into the depth because of the paucity of time. Again here TDS credit and ITC credit needs to be provided over here. Then last one, ठीक है. So this is about as regard GST. हाँ, तो अब proportionate आपका आ जाएगा. See, if you don't able to claim under the invoice wise, see here you can give the details invoice wise. If you know that this particular invoice is disallowed, then you will give the details over here. But in respect of proportion, you have to give the details over here. Amendment to the ITC, because it's a consolidated thing. So that detail you have to give it over here. Now last return means in the monthly return last. Third return आ गया. अभी हमारे पास sale register है. So we know what is our output liability. On the purchase side, we know what are the input tax credit are there. What are the credits which are available to me. ठीक है, तो उसके अंदर से मेरा ITC मिल जाएगा. फिर बचेगा क्या, पैसा भरना है. So that we have to discharge. So everything is now auto-populated. You need not have to do anything. Again, a technology-driven law है. एक ही sale side we have to be assured. If sale side is my proper, purchase automatic pop-up हो जाएगा. We have to just observe whether that is correct or not. We need not have to do anything. Return अपने आप file और data ले लेगा, auto-populated. We need not have to do anything. सबसे अच्छा हो गया ना अभी. Then also people are crying कि इतना सारा है. ये रिटर्न हमें 20 तारीख में भरना है, 5 दिन में. तो we need not have to really do any work in these 5 days. This 5 days is also very more. हाँ, इसको भी कम करना चाहिए. अच्छा 16-17 के बाद क्या रहेगा आपको? 3 दिन मिल रहा है. You have lot of time because you don't have to do. आपके पास खाली बैंक स्टेटमेंट में पैसा चाहिए, that's it. बाकी सब अपने आप हो जाएगा. हाँ, then whether any revision of return is possible. No revision of return is possible. Everything has to be online. Whenever there is any mistake, you have to rectify it by way of a debit note or credit note. So revision of return, आज VAT return में कैसे कर रहे हैं? Lot of many times people are revising return, bindas. हम कभी भी कर सकते हैं, तो ऐसा यहाँ नहीं चलेगा. Then everyone has to file the return irrespective of whether their turnover is there in the that particular month or not. Rest all the returns GSTR 4A 18th quarter है, 5 number non-resident dealer, input service register by 15th, TDS return 10th है. Then final return, annual return. What Gaurav has said that everyone has to file annual return. तो 36 रिटर्न फाइल होने के बाद ये 37th रिटर्न आ जाएगा. एंड वो 37 रिटर्न में सपोज इफ द टर्नओवर इज मोर देन 1 crore rupees, then compulsory audit is there, has to be carried out by a chartered accountant or a cost accountant. तो ये एक ऑडिट है और ये 31st December के पहले, नेक्स्ट मंथ के पहले we have to upload it. Then he has also said last return, final return, whenever you are cancelling or surrendering your certificate of registration, then within 3 months you have to upload a final return. Naturally, if you miss the bus of this deadline, तो naturally late file thing. Now government here is very intelligent. वो penalty word use नहीं कर रहे. Why? If the penalty word is used, then they have always discretionary power. They don't wanted to give any discretionary power. They say for late filing fees, so they have to be paid. So what is the late filing fee? 100 rupees per day, or maximum not exceeding 5,000 rupees. So if there is a default in filing GSTR 1, 2, 3, तो हर एक का 5,000 rupees गिन लो, 15,000 rupees. Further, this returns has to be filed for each registered place. So 10 जगह ऑफिस है, 10 जगह पे रिटर्न फाइल करना है, 10 जगह का ऑडिट भी करना है. Lot of opportunity.
सर
एक लास्ट फिर. Then if you are failed to file your annual return 31st December तक नहीं भरा, no problem, 100 rupees per day or 1/4% of your turnover, whichever is higher. तो हर एक स्टेट का भी आपको कॉम्प्लाई करना पड़ेगा. लेकिन सबसे अच्छी बात क्या है पता है? अ पर्सन हु इज इन द स्टेट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र and who is to file the return of the client who is having 10 different places, he can do it by sitting at his office. Not only office, he can do it from a home also. What he requires only a computer, that's it. So देखो और कितनी अपॉर्चुनिटी. पहले क्या था, खाली महाराष्ट्र का स्टेट का ही हम कर सकते थे, बिकॉज वी डोंट नो द लॉ फॉर गुजरात, वी डोंट नो द लॉ फॉर MP. बट नाउ दैट इज नॉट लाइक दैट. एवरी लॉ इज सेम. वी कैन डू द ऑडिट फॉर फ्रॉम हियर ओनली. सो एक ही क्लाइंट मिला ना अपने को, जिसकी 5 ऑफिस है ऑल ओवर द इंडिया, तो आई एम टेलिंग यू बहुत हो गया, प्रोवाइडेड ही पेज यू द फीस, बिकॉज दिस डेडलाइन नीड्स टू बी कॉम्प्लाइड, राइट. इफ यू डोंट कॉम्प्लाई तो इतनी पेनल्टी है, सो नेचुरली यू विल गेट अ वेरी गुड बिजनेस. सो नाउ स्टार्ट डूइंग इट. हाँ, नाउ योर क्वेश्चन.
Sir, in VAT, we have a concept or provision of input weight reversal concept against the fixed asset purchased and that stock transfer. So, do we have any kind of rule or provisions?
Nothing. There is a free movement of goods.
Nothing.
There is no F form. There is no reversal of credit. There is no retention money.
That means
Nothing.
on FA we are going to get the 100%.
All 100%.
Thank you.
Enjoy the life. So this is what regard the filing of return. Now I think I should stop over here. Audit already Gaurav has done it. So thank you very much, friends, for your patience. Thank you. Can we after that?
Hello. That annual return also consists of bill-wise detail, or it will be auto-populated?
It would be naturally auto-populated.
Out
Only
of
the
all
different you have to tell it.
Please be seated for 2 minutes.
Correct.
Let us thank the speaker who has taken his time on Sunday. Please be seated for next 5 minutes. I would request CA Xavier Rajan ji, Secretary of Vasai branch, to offer a formal vote of thanks.
I request our chairman to give a memento to CA Ashit Shah. I request past chairman Vimal. I request our vice chairman to give a memento to CA Gaurav. Friends, quickly I will read to whom I have to say thanks. I have to say thanks to CA Ashit Shah. Wonderful speech he gave. You all enjoyed. CA Gaurav, within a short period, he could explain in detail about the returns. There are many speakers for last 2 days. They have given wonderful speeches and you have enjoyed. Honorable Shri Arjun Meghwal, Minister of State came. CA Kamlesh Vikamsi, Nilesh Vikamsi. I would refer CA Nitesh Kothari, our chairman. Lot of effort he has taken for so many days. CA Vimal Agarwal, committee members, coordinators, Mr. Kushwant Jain and his team, our branch team, the photographer, Mr. Vishnu, sound system in charge, Mr. Gajendra, food and hall arranged by GCC Club, all deserve thanks. But the last but not the least, each one of you who are sitting here, plus those who have gone and those who are going, also deserve a big applause. Please give a... Thank you very much.
PPT of all the faculties can be viewed from Vasai branch ici.org. The website will be uploaded by tomorrow. Half of the PPTs have already been uploaded and the remaining of today's speakers will be uploaded by tomorrow. And video you can view on YouTube, Vasai branch of WRG. Just search on that, you will get all the YouTube of today's conference. Thank you very much.